What if you could connect multiple office locations as easily as plugging into a switch? No more expensive leased lines, no complex protocols, just fast, seamless connectivity. That's the power of Metro Ethernet. But here's the catch. Are you using the right Metro Ethernet service for your business? Hint, most companies aren't. In this video, I'll break down the 3 game-changing Metro Ethernet topologies, E-LAN, E-LAN, and E-Tree, and show you how to slash costs while boosting speed and reliability. Stick around, your WAN will never be the same. Metro Ethernet. The Ethernet protocol was initially created for the LAN, local area network, and not for the WAN, wide area network, because the distance was limited on the first Ethernet standards. In the early days of Ethernet, when a company wanted a link between 2 remote sites, there were only 2 solutions. Create your own link. This represents a huge cost, because the trench has to be dug and the cable laid. Or alternatively, rent a dedicated route, leased line. Today, we have 2 other solutions, relatively cheaper. MPLS, multi-protocol label switching. Or Metro Ethernet. The Ethernet Metro allows a company with multiple remote locations to be interconnected. Metro Ethernet was first used outside of LAN in metropolitan areas. That is to say, in the MAN, Metropolitan Area Network. As these are long distances, the cabling is done in fiber optics. And here is a table that includes some of the standards adapted to Metro Ethernet. It can be seen that it is possible to cover distances of up to 100 kilometers and a bandwidth of 100 gigabits per second. Originally, Metro Ethernet was used only in metropolitan areas, which is why it is called Metro Ethernet. Today, it is even used on long-distance WAN links. So, from the customer's point of view, it's like you're connected to a standard switch. Since it uses Ethernet standards, it will be able to connect companies with fiber optics via a central switch. No need to use frame relay, the PPP protocol, or HDLC, which is not bad. And in order to save on connectivity, the access provider will strategically position switches. These switches are called point of presence, found under the initials of POP, point of presence. On the client side, you get an Ethernet connection that you can connect to your router, switch, or firewall, and the provider will use switches at the edge of its network. Metro Ethernet topologies are defined by standards, and it is the MEF, Metro Ethernet Forum, which is a nonprofit association, which defines these standards and services. We will look at the 3 main most widespread services: E-LAN, Ethernet Line Service; E-LAN, Ethernet LAN Service; and the E-Tree, Ethernet Tree Service. Ethernet Line Service is the simplest service. It is simply a point-to-point connection between 2 sites. This topology is very similar to leased lines. From the customer's point of view, it's like connecting 2 routers to each other with a crossover cable. As this is a layer 2 link, if IP addresses are configured, then the routers will be in the same subnet. The WAN interface of both routers, the CE side, is in the same network, which means that they can therefore become neighbors in terms of dynamic routing, OSPF, EIGRP. The point-to-point link is represented by the initials of EVC for Ethernet Virtual Circuit. If you have multiple locations, it is possible to use multiple E-lines connections. In this case, each point-to-point will have its own network. When using multiple E-lines, Ethernet line service, on a single physical interface, then trunk links, and a different VLAN will be used for each E-line. In my examples, I show routers as client devices, but since we use Ethernet, you can also use switches. This type of E-line link may also be referred to as VPWS, Virtual Private Wire Service. This name is used when the provider uses MPLS on their network. That is, the Ethernet protocol is transported over the MPLS network. If you have a lot of sites and you want each site to be able to send frames directly to any other site, then you will need to use the Ethernet LAN service, E-LAN. It is a full mesh topology that acts as a big switch. The green line in dotted line represents a single EVC that connects the 4 sites together, creating an E-LAN. All the sites can communicate directly with each other, and they all see each other as neighbors. The other name for this service is VPLS for Virtual Private LAN Service. And the third topology is Ethernet tree, which is in the shape of a tree. That is to say that there is a root. Here, it is the router CE1, and there are leaves. These are the routers CE2 and CE3. This topology is useful if you have a central site and a few other sites that primarily need access to the resources of the central site. So, communication between CE2 and CE3 is still possible, but it will be necessary to go back to the main router, the CE1,